On my way home, a light cold wind swept through the street, dispersing the smell of rain. The darkness of night had long ago enveloped everything around. This was fall, the real deal. Honestly, I like this time of year when it's damp and cold. There's something special about it, magical and melancholy, so to speak. And now, on my way home from a friend's house, I'm going to enjoy a little walk. All the more reason to get the alcohol out of my system. We've had too much to drink. After standing for a minute, I moved from my seat. There was a strange lightness in my head that made it seem like everything around me was wrong, not real. I should drink less. Degradation is in full swing. With a flying gait, humming to myself, I strolled on my way home looking around. From time to time I looked up at the sky, where the stars and the moon were shining, the silence of the yards, the rare glimpses of car headlights. Yes, it has its own beauty. And it's only when you're drunk that you find such beauty. I was walking along, but suddenly I hear a voice. It's quiet, faint, probably an old woman's. I looked around, listened. The voice was coming from the side of the garbage cans. I noticed some rummaging around. "Somebody help me." "What's wrong?" I inadvertently asked. "Oh, grandson, I fell. I can't get up now. Help me, please." Something strange seemed to me in all this, especially the way the old woman spoke. Something guttural or something, while sitting in a barrel, but I didn't pay attention because old age can do that. So without too much hesitation went to help the grandmother. She, in turn, holds out her hands. I tried to see her, but I couldn't see her except for an old ragged coat and dirty pants. Her face was so well hidden under the shawl, it was as if the darkness had swallowed it up. "Oh, thank you, grandson. Thank you," said the old woman. Not for I didn't have time to finish, as her palms squeezed my forearm, so tightly that I felt the grandmother squeezing my bones. "Hey, Grandma, what are you doing?" "Thank you, grandson. Thank you," she repeated in a distorted voice. I tried to break free, but to no avail. The old hag had a firm grip on me. "Let me go," I shouted, kicking at her, but she wouldn't let go. Then I had to act radically. I pushed the old woman as hard as I could to the garbage can. Then I fought her off, hitting her against the metal surface. My grip loosened. The hag unhooked herself from me and fell flat like a marionette. At that moment, the hood pulled back, revealing her head. And, oh my God, it wasn't human. An oval head with an elongated face, distorting every second like a frame with expressions of emotion, then suffering, then sadness, then anger. After a while, the creature stood up, displaying all of itself. A long, skinny body of gray, covered in slime, with disproportionately small limbs. The arms with long nails were bent at the elbows, and instead of feet, there was a kind of hoof. It walked toward me with a crooked step. I couldn't resist and fell backward onto the wet asphalt, backed up and pressed my back against the fence. My breathing was ragged, sweat dripping from my forehead. I struggled to get up and run away, but it wasn't to be. There was a clatter of hooves behind me. I turned my head half-turned and saw the monster rushing after me, staggering from side to side and flapping his arms as if they were wings. I did not hold back a scream. My feet carried me toward the house. I did not see the road, I just rushed. But there was an unexpected surprise. When I ran out to the roadway, the only obstacle to my house, I stopped for a moment and looked around. And then I noticed two silhouettes standing on the other side of the road. They were hiding in the darkness, out of reach of the streetlights, just standing there looking at something. I was already happy that they were people and started yelling something inaudible and waving my arms at them, but it was a bad decision. As you probably realized, those two silhouettes were clearly not people. Personally, I realized it late, only when they came into the light. I drew back and almost fell and ran in the other direction. Those monsters blocked my way home. Now I don't know where to go. I'm just running to get away from those creatures. Their slapping footsteps could be heard behind me. They came closer and closer to me. My strength was failing me. I couldn't run anymore. Was this the end? I stopped for a moment near a residential building to catch my breath. The creatures had fallen behind, so there was time. While I was enjoying my moment of calm, I spotted a basement. In the dark, I could see the door was ajar. Looks like one of the tenants forgot to lock it. I got lucky as hell. I rushed down there. When I was in the darkness of the basement, I shut the door sharply and pressed my back against it. My lungs were burning, and my legs couldn't stand, so I fell back on my heels. There was a commotion outside the door. The creatures crowded around the door, but they had no idea what to do. They were cackling and mooing, communicating with each other. I had to hold my breath and try not to make a sound until they were gone. After a few long minutes, they dispersed. I felt like I was going to pass out. My lungs were burning. My head was buzzing. I tried to hold on until the last possible moment, but I fell into a dream world. I had no idea how long I slept like that. My body ached and I was very cold. It was a bad feeling after those events. I didn't even immediately realize I was in the basement. I cautiously came out of hiding. The sun was shining brightly in my eyes. Is it over? I couldn't believe I'd saved myself from those creepy monsters. It was daytime outside. People were going about their business. Cars were going back and forth. I, dazed from the night before, headed towards home. Of course, I didn't get away from the surprised stares and whispers of passers-by. My appearance clearly said that I had escaped from the yellow house, but I didn't care at the time. The most important thing was to get home. It could have been written off as alcohol intoxication, but it wasn't. I wasn't so drunk that day that I saw devils from a snuff box. This incident would have been forgotten if I had not met them again on a winter evening when I went to the store to buy bread. After our first encounter, there were many more of them, and now it seemed to me that this time I would not be so lucky.